بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما تعلمنا وزدنا بفضلك علما وتعليما إنك على كل شيء قدير. المبحث الثاني: أنواع العلل الواقعة في المتن. قد تتحقق هذه في الأنواع الآتية من علوم الحديث، حيث يكون ظاهرها الصحة وتقع العلة في المتن. Right? And in reality, the things in the matan is huge. So we've seen examples before where sometimes in the chain it's not a big deal. It's a غير قادحة. In the matan, it's hugely قادحة because particularly in the eyes of the mujtahid, right? So this is why it's so important for the mujtahid to know know what's happening with this chain, what's happening with this hadith, what are the different versions of this hadith, right? It's so unbelievably important. Different phrases, different wording, different this, different that. Sometimes you'll find this, oh, they're all sahih, right? This hadith is well known as sahih. There's a huge difference though. Like if you look at the hadith, look in Sunan al-Kubra, look at the hadith Khiyar al-Majlis, right? And it's like, okay, you have the different versions from Nafi' from Ibn Umar and the different versions from Abdullah ibn Dinar from Nafi'. It's, I mean, you could put them all together, I guess, into one kind of meaning, but there's a genuine problem there, right? For somebody to come along and say, just forget it all, and just go with what makes sense, like in general fiqh, for example. Um, you know, same thing with the hadith about the dog licking from a bowl. There's a huge problem there, right? And this is something, again, we see this a lot in what's it called, in Sunan Nasa'i. Again, he will show us these differences, and in Sahih Muslim as well. And you think, oh, it's the hadith is sahih, yeah, but there's a huge difference between them, right? وهذه أنواع مشتركة بين, and so some of these things that the ulama of hadith will pull out for us, some of these things that, I mean, you can just observe for yourself, or you could see that the fuqaha, would notice, obviously. وهي هذه الأنواع مشتركة بين السند والمتن، وهي الشاذ والمنكر والمضطرب والمقلوب والمدرج والمصحف والمحرف. قال الحافظ ابن حجر في تمام كلامه السابق: يتابع أقسام العلة الستة، ومثال ما وقعت العلة في المتن دون الإسناد. ولا تقدح فيها ما وقع من اختلاف ألفاظ كثيرة من أحاديث الصحيحين، إذ أمكن رد الجميع إلى معنى واحد، فإن القدح ينتفي عنهما. Right? That's the criterion though. إذا أمكن الرد الجميع إلى معنى واحد. Sometimes it's not. Like there's a genuine problem. ومثال ما وقعت فيه العلة في المتن واستلزمت القدح الإسناد ما يرويه راو بالمعنى الذي ظنه صوابا ويكون خطأ. Right? This is the whole paradigm that Imam Malik and Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Abu Hanifa to a greater extent emphasizes the importance of the faqih al-rawi. Right? Why did Imam Abu Hanifa, was it, who he had the opportunity to study with Hamad ibn Abi Salama, ibn Salama. No, Hamad ibn Salama. He studied with Hamad ibn Abi Sulaim, or Ibn Abi Sulaiman, Ibn Abi Sulaim. I can't remember now. He's, one of the you see this in his, his most of his ahadith that we see They're all narrated through a fiqh chain and not through a hadith chain, right? And so why? Because I'm narrating fiqh and hadith at the same time, and I don't want mistakes in the meaning. I don't want that, right? So Imam Shafi'i's point is, well, as long as the person is dabit, right, then the default is they're going to narrate it as they heard it, and that's it. It's not a condition that they have to be faqih, but that's very important, right? So when you hear something, isn't narrating interpretation? Like when AI, if you give AI an audio box and a voice box, and you ask it a question, you say, "What's happening in Calcutta today?" It needs a way to process things. It can't just tell you everything. Or like the wind is blowing. That's not relevant, is it? There's traffic. There's always traffic. There are cars. I want to know I want to know what is different, right? What is notable, right? The process of what is notable is a judgment, right? So when you process the processor did this or he did that, you are editing information in and editing information out. You're not telling me every single thing that happened or didn't happen. That there was a person standing next to him. There was nobody standing next to him. There was this, there was that, right? He was standing, the Prophet said standing, or he was walking, or he was like, we don't get all the information, we get the relevant information. Choosing relevant information is interpretation. So it's impossible on an absolute sense to say that anybody narrates anything without interpreting and without exercising their own ijtihad of what is being said and what is not being said and what is relevant and what is not being relevant. Right? So you see that all the time when somebody, for example, explains a fiqh scenario to you, say this happened. So, well, what about this and this? They don't tell you that key variable that's relevant to you because they edited it out. It's not relevant in their eyes. So they didn't narrate it. Right. So it's very, very important to understand that. It's not an issue of accuracy. It's an issue of utility sometimes. Right. Like how useful is this information given that it's narrated by somebody who doesn't necessarily know how relevant this would be. It would change from here or change from there. Sometimes it's very relevant. Right. So ما يرويه راو بالمعنى الذي ظنه صوابا ويكون خطأ والمراد باللفظ حديث غير ذلك فإن ذلك يستلزم القدح في الراوي. Right. It could just be in a situation. فيعل في فيعلل الإسناد. ومثال ما وقعت العلة في المتن دون الإسناد ما ذكره مصنف من ومثال ما وقعت العلة في المتن دون الإسناد ما ذكره المصنف من أحد الألفاظ الواردة في حديث أنس رضي الله عنه وهي قوله لا يذكرون بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم في أول قراءة ولا في آخرها فإن أصل الحديث في الصحيحين في لفظ البخاري كانوا يفتتحون بال بالحمد لله رب العالمين واللفظ مسلم في رواية له نفي الجهر وفي رواية أخرى نفي القراءة. Right? So there's clear issues there. Right? Again, this is a whole problem with the methodology of using Sahih Muslim and saying the hadith is Sahih, it's in Sahih Muslim. What do you mean the hadith is Sahih, it's in Sahih Muslim? Do you mean it's in Sahih Muslim, or do you mean that the Imam Muslim exposed the error in that wording in Sahih Muslim? So with Imam Nasa'i, it's a little bit clearer. He's saying this ikhtilaf. He has these titles, right? The titles in Sahih Muslim are not written by Imam Muslim, they're written by Imam Nawawi way later. But with Ibn Nasa'i, you can see that al-ikhtilaf ala kada. He's trying to show you the inconsistency. But Imam Muslim in reality is doing the same thing. Saying there's a genuine inconsistency, right? Meaning there's a problem here where so and so is narrating it one way and so and so narrating it in another way. They are not actually the same meaning. And sometimes it is the same meaning, sometimes it isn't exactly the same meaning. But sometimes meaning often it's not. All right, and that's one of these um, beautiful things. So here, if I open up, where is the book called? If I open up, where is my Mukhtasar Sahih Muslim? Um, if you open up Sahih Muslim, it's very important. Go ahead, Saif.
Like in this case, so like the Shafis would say that there's a like is it the case that the Shafi proof for this is that there's a that there's not enough like the hadith was strong enough but to take this as a ruling so to not say the
Yeah, so the Shafis they like to do jama', right? They like to do jama',
right
and they would say, okay, one narration mentions that they didn't start the prayer with were saying it aloud, and the other by reciting it he didn't say it at all, and it means not reciting it aloud, right? In reality, the Shafi'is we have other evidence that the Prophet ﷺ did do it aloud. So then we're going to say the Prophet ﷺ didn't always do it aloud. He sometimes did it aloud, and because he did it sometimes it's allowed, it's still sunnah, right? Um,
right
that's not the point. The point is there are significant scenarios where there is an inconsistency between the narrations of the hadith, right? It's
right
actually different, and so that is whether you call it a problem or you don't call it a problem, or even if nobody ever called it a problem, it is a problem, right? Like that is an inconsistency, and there we go. Like you can't, you can't. If what is it? What's the phrase? If it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a duck. Like there is a genuine inconsistency. So so sometimes yes they go back to one meaning, it's not a problem, and you see yes, a hadith is cut up, it's rephrased, it's this, it's that, that's fine. The issue then is not that. The issue is when there's genuine inconsistency. I can't find my mukhtasar of I have Mundari's mukhtasar of Sahih
uh,
Muslim.
uh, then in this case I guess you like when there's an inconsistency like the hadith master that would have to then like they just say that there's inconsistency and then leave it at that or they try to say these were inconsistent and the actual meaning is this
Yeah, so
but
then
they're
you
not
can
really
do two things. If it's inconsistent, you can do it two ways. You can either do tarjih and find out which is the most likely actual wording, okay?
okay
Or B, say there's no way to find out. It's just a mess, and this hadith is hadith muttarib, right? This hadith is just all over the place,
right
right? One version says that Aban said it, the other version says that Saif said it. One version says that Saif said it but after this person said it. The other one says this, and you can't do tarjih because you couldn't work it out. It's just I don't even know what's going on. We don't know where this event happened, who did it. There's just different stories of some kind of argument, but we don't know what's going on. Like we can't explain it. As opposed to we've seen so and so made an error, but we can explain it. We can come to some tarjih. Anyway, I can't find my mukhtasar of. So if you think like of a mukhtasar of Sahih Muslim, you might choose a riwayah or choose this, choose that. But the way Sahih Muslim is organized, it's just he's basically showing us inconsistencies. And I think let's just find in the beginning of um Sahih Muslim. Um, not sure exactly where he mentions. I think it's right at the end or something like that. Somewhere near the beginning. It's important to understand that the mutaakhirin in general, they will always try and do jama'. They try and do jama' between a different hadith and different versions of the hadith. Right? They're like, oh, it means this, it means that. Whereas the mutaqaddimin in general, these are is very general kind of thing. They're allowed to say this hadith contradicts this hadith. Therefore, there's a genuine problem. And it is um, where is this? Mm.
Siri, what exactly are you looking for? Even I'll help you.
There's a
I'll
quote in the
look at.
beginning of Sahih Muslim by Imam Muslim mentions that he'll mention narrations لبيان العلة. He does it. I'm trying to find this.
All right.
Maybe look at the word bayan, bayan. Um, mm, mm. Aha, here we go, right in the beginning. It says here, it says ثم إن شاء الله مبتدئون في تخريج ما سألت تأليفه على شريطة سوف أذكرها لك، وهو إن نعمد إلى جملة ما أسند من الأخبار عن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم، فنقسمها على 3 أقسام و3 طبقات من الناس على غير تكرار، إلى أن يأتي موضع لا يستغنى فيه عن ترداد حديث فيه زيادة معنى أو إسناد يقع إلى جنب إسناد لعلة تكون هناك، لأن المعنى الزائد في الحديث المحتاج إليه يقوم مقام حديث تام، فلا بد من إعادة الحديث الذي فيه ما وصفناه، أو أن يفصل لك المعنى من جملة الحديث الاختصاره إن أمكن. Right. ولكن تفصيله ربما عسر وجل، فإعادة به بهيئته إذا ضاق ذلك أسلم. Right. So he's mentioning 3 levels. Okay. So first of all, he mentioned this. So he mentions for 2 reasons so far. One, he made very clear. He said, "Oh, because the complete meaning is not clear from one version of the hadith." He says there are 3 levels. And he's going to mention them next to other لِعِلَّةٍ تكون هناك, for a reason or for an illah, an actual problem. Okay. Um, so then he mentions that. Um, okay. So he mentioned these 3 categories. Okay, I really have to run. mentions people who are weak. Okay, don't talk about that now. Okay, so but anyway, that's that point there where he mentions I'm going to do that in li bayan al-illa, right? Wallahu alam. And again, there's a whole discussion there, but we'll come back to inshallah next time. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم سبحان الله وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك